Hello everyone and welcome back to another Manga Monday. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 5 of Kino's Journey, The Beautiful World. So on the cover we have these two individuals with their persuaders as they are called, and we are discovering more of this world that Kino is going through. So at the beginning of this book, or this volume, Kino and Hermes are going to visit a land that they've heard a lot of rumors about, that it's very cruel, that it's unkind, that no one there welcomes foreigners, and they're not really going to have a place to be there. But they decide they're going to go anyways and try it out. They go there and they discover that everyone is super, super nice. And now we've been in this situation before with Kino where she goes to a place and people seem all right at first, but then something happens, there's some weird situation going on, maybe they killed everyone previously. There's just a lot of weird stuff in these places, so you're always waiting through these 3 days for the other thing to happen, for the big reveal to happen, for them to be like, oh, this is why it's bad. And ultimately something does come up, but it's maybe not quite what you expect. So I think that was a very tense. So the first half of this book feels very, very tense just because nothing bad is happening in the city. And that's a very, very different situation to be in, because usually things maybe start out good, but then aren't really as bad, or start out good and then maybe really aren't as good as you think they are. I definitely think the author's strength through the series as I've gone on has been in making these places. That's just me personally. I find the places very, very compelling, and the characters could really just almost be substituted with anybody. That's again just my personal opinion as I go through them. The places the author thinks of are very unique without having to be wildly different from one another, and they all present really interesting moral dilemmas or moral scenarios, or how a city solves a unique problem with a very unique solution that maybe you wouldn't think of, or just very odd ways of doing things, or thought patterns or mindsets taken to extremes. And I think those different dilemmas or scenarios are what makes all these places unique, and the author has a very, very good talent for doing that. I think the author's ability to make a very interesting place, especially in such a short 3-day visit, because Kino only spends 3 days at each place, it's very, very good. It's very, very strong. So I think as I read through this volume, I really started to think about the author's strengths and weaknesses, and that is definitely one of them, is the ability to make a place. The ability to make a place is this author's strong suit. The cast of characters is expanding in this volume. We have the Master, we have Kino, we have Master Shizu, I believe it was, with his big fluffy dog, and we're starting to get a little wider range of characters. We also see someone on a lookout. We don't really know who they are. We know their name is Will. They're maybe starting to think about stepping outside the traditional mindset of people they've lived with, which is kind of a theme for most of the characters in this book. And yeah, we're starting to expand the cast of characters. Again, the author's ability to make a place is really shining through. We get 2 lands in this one. We get the one at the beginning I talked about, and then a second one where people are having trouble looking at other people in the face, and kind of the way society evolves to handle it. We see it almost like a generation apart, from like a solution that was proposed and then another, so a problem and then a solution, and then the solution becomes the next problem. And that is the second place in this, which I think is really, really interesting. Again, we're also having a lot more development of the characters, so we're going to see what happens with that. But yeah, I just want to take this time as I review this book to highlight the author's ability to make a place and make it very unique with all these different scenarios or moral dilemmas or mindsets or problems. And it's really well done, and I really, really like this. I did give this a 3-star. Again, I find the author's ability to make a place much stronger than their ability to make a character. So there are a number of characters and we're growing that cast, but they aren't quite as, I feel like they're not quite as unique as the places, and the author definitely, at least I sense, likes to build these places in these unique situations, and they just want to have a character or some characters who can move through the places and experience the places. And that's what I've really, really enjoyed. Again, we've seen a little bit of growth from Kino, particularly from at the very first volume though, shows the most growth for Kino as she kind of breaks out of her mindset and her mold that she grew up in and moves forward. These next couple of volumes have just kind of been her journeying. We see a little bit more in this book where she starts to contemplate things she's never contemplated before, but really up until this point, she's kind of been someone who moves through the lands and experiences these places that the author has, or the artist has put together for us to experience. So yeah, this is a 3-star read, volume 5, still very interesting. And if you're really interested in seeing the unique it's worth a read just for the places, I should say. Just reading these books for the places would definitely be worth it. And I really can't Yeah, I really can't say enough about the author's ability to make a very interesting place. It's really been the highlight of this series. With that, if you read up to volume 5, or if you have any thoughts on it, if you think other things about the character development, or have other things to say about the place building, or world building, I should say, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Other than that, everyone, I hope you have a great Monday.